How great is our God. Let's go. Let's go. Say oh. Say oh. Say oh. Come on, lift it up all over the room. Say oh. Say oh. Say oh. Let's go. So how great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? Oh, we'll see how great is our. Come on and clap those hands, yo. You're an amazing God. Lift up your voice, let's declare it. How great. Beside you, say, oh, we'll see how great is our God. Clap those hands, yo. Oh, there's nobody greater than the King of all kings. I need you to do me a favor, lift up those hands. Say, I lift my hand to give you glory. Say, I lift my hands, Lord, to give you praise. I'll praise you, Lord. So I'll praise you, Lord. And I will praise you. Yeah. Lift him up in here. So I lift my hand to give you glory. Lord, we lift up our hands to give you praise. And I'll praise you, Lord. Give you the praise tonight. I'll praise you, Lord. I'll praise you, Lord. So I'll praise you, Lord. Can you lift up those hands all over the room? So I'll praise you, Lord. I'll praise you, Lord. It doesn't matter what we go through, we'll still give you the glory. So I'll praise you, Lord. In the midst of the struggle, Though you slay me, I'll still give you the glory. Anybody have that testimony tonight? That even though I'm going through a few things, I refuse to let my circumstance affect what comes out of my mouth. But I will bless the Lord at all times. And his praise is his praises. His praise, his praise. Not doubt, not complaint, but his praise, his praise, his praise, his praise will forever be.
God bless you, Cornerstone Pentecostal Church, family and friends. This is the day that the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad. And then I was glad when they said unto me, unto us, let us go into the house of the Lord. Thank God for another day that he has kept us. He has watched over us. Another opportunity to come together and fellowship and sharpen each other. We thank that we have a special edition of Bible study on tonight. First of all, we do thank Sister Tina for the lessons that she has provided over the past few weeks regarding perseverance. It is our prayer that you have received something out of those lessons, that you have a determined mind and a determined heart to continue on to see what the end is going to be. There is no way, no how that we're going to give up. We have that fighting spirit, that fighting mentality that we are the victors and not the victims. So to God be the glory for everything that he has done. On tonight, we have a group of panelists amongst us that we're going to just have a conversation amongst black men. We know there is a lot going on in our city, a lot going on in our country, and a lot going on in our world. And so on tonight, we just wanted to come together and have a discussion about some of the things that are taking place, the role of the black man, what should the black man be doing, what should you be doing, and just some of our thoughts. So we invite you to participate as we're communicating. You can ask questions online. If there's a comment you agree with, you can put some hearts on the screen. If it's something you don't agree with, you can give it some thumbs down. But whatever you want to do, we just want you to participate in our conversation on tonight. So the brothers that we have with us on tonight, we have Brother Calvin Royal, we have Sean Holland, we have Willie Barthel, and we have Lethero Petway with us on tonight. So they're going to share and break some bread with us on tonight. So we know you are excited. You're excited about this fresh night that is about to take place. So sit down, get your seatbelt, put your seatbelt on, and get ready to experience what these black men have to share with us on tonight. So first of all, we're just going to open up in prayer, and then we're going to get started. Dear Lord God, we thank you for your goodness. We thank you for another opportunity to come before you. We thank you for each man that is on this panel. We thank you, God, that you would bless us, that you would speak through us. We thank you for the man that leads this house, our bishop. Continue to strengthen him. Continue to cover him, oh God. Bless this session on tonight. That you would get all the glory, Lord God, that we would provide information and inspiration. God, you be magnified in this place. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, let's go. Amen. We're ready to get this conversation started. What we're going to do, we're going to initially start off a little icebreaker. We're going to ask each man a question, and for that man to kind of share his thoughts in this particular area. And then we'll just kind of have like an open dialogue. And again, please, you can participate in the dialogue as well as you are online. First, we're going to start with Calvin Royal. All right, sir. Now, what we want you to do as our elder statesman here, we want you to share with us your history with regards to protesting, experiencing racism, especially during those times of Vietnam, which we know you were in Vietnam, and the experience you had around the Watts riot. So we ask you to share with us your experience there, sir.
Okay. We thank the Lord for this time, and thank the Lord for Elder Will. My experience with racism, it started when I was a teen here in Columbus, Ohio. I was born here and raised in Columbus on the east side, the Mount Vernon, Long Street, Champion, Fifth Avenue area.
Okay.
And like I said, we always had problems with police because we were always afraid of the police. Because
Okay.
the police always showed aggression to us, to the black young men. So
Okay.
we were sort of afraid of the police.
Mhm.
And they kind of knew that too, because we had a couple, I'm not naming any names, we had a couple of them that I seen do some violence to teenagers,
Okay.
young black men.
Year-wise, where are we at?
Oh, we're looking at
What-
like 62, 63.
Okay, okay,
Uh-huh.
okay.
As I was growing up, like I said, I'm up in age a little bit. So, like I said, it started here in Columbus. And then I was growing up during the era when it was the draft.
Okay.
And so once I turned 18, I was eligible for the draft, and I was classified as 1A, which that was top of the line.
Okay.
We had the Vietnam War going on. I didn't want to go to Vietnam. My cousin had been killed in 1965 in Vietnam, and I had that bad feeling that hey, this wasn't where I wanted to go.
Okay, okay.
So, my brother, my adopted brother, and two other friends, we enlisted in the Navy to keep from being drafted. Because we get drafted, we got drafted in the Army. So
Okay.
we knew in the Army we had two choices. We was going to Vietnam or Germany, one or the other. Most likely we went to Vietnam. Well, meantime, a Marine recruiter called my house, and I happened to be at home and answered the phone. And first thing I told him, I said, hey, I don't want to go in the Marines. I don't want to go to Vietnam. I said, I'm going to be drafted in the Army. I'll wait for the draft in the Army. I said, possibly I'll get Germany.
Mhm.
And so in the meantime, I talked with him. And he started giving me all this stuff that, hey, you join the Marines. He said, what you want to be? First he said, what career do you want to be? And like I said, I was sort of afraid of police. I said, I want military police.
Okay.
Okay.
Gonna be on their side.
Yeah. I said, I want military police. And he told me, he said, no problem, military police. I said, but I want to go to Vietnam. He said, oh, no problem. By the time you got out of military police school, Vietnam will be over. That was so I enlisted in the Marines. As it go on. 7 months after I enlisted, I was in Vietnam for my first tour. And that was during 67, 68.
Okay.
In the meantime, in 68, when I got in there, to get it on, it was, when I went to basic training, it was 60 of us in basic training. I was the only black in my platoon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had guys from South Carolina, Arkansas, and the word was that they didn't want to be connected with me. They didn't even want to sleep in the same barracks. So we had an aggressive sergeant who told one guy from Arkansas, said, hey, I will not sleep in this barracks at the end. That's when he was speaking of me.
Right.
So we had bunk beds and stuff and everything. So the sergeant told him, said, yes, you are. You're sleeping here. He's going to stay here. You're going to stay here. And the sergeant told him, said, you told me that I'm going to sleep on the top. He's going to sleep on the bottom.
Mhm,
And he
mhm.
said, if you feel anything, get sick or anything, just go. Just
throw it on you.
Yeah, because he said he didn't want to be bothered with us. Okay. So, dealing with the story, I went through basic training. From there, they sent me to Vietnam. And while I was in Vietnam, the assassination of Dr. King happened in April.
Mhm.
And when they assassinated Dr. King, they called the brass called themselves covering it up from the blacks. Because at that time, we had got the word that it was rioting in all the cities.
Okay.
Well, all over the country, all over the United States, to Dr. King. And so what they told us, they were going to have what they call a day of prayer, rest. So they told all the black military, turn in all your weapons, turn in ammo,
Wow.
your grenades and everything. Because they thought, we was going to
Gonna tear
riot.
up.
Yeah,
Right.
they thought it was going to riot. And then we had the black soldiers run around there with the Confederate flags, the Confederate battle flags.
Mhm.
They was laughing because Dr. King what they had told us that Dr. King was dead, but we
Right.
already knew. It was like the plantation.
Right.
The blacks, we passed it around. King is dead.
Right.
And he had been assassinated. So we already knew but they call themselves covering it up, waiting for a time where it was calm enough, So, but again, we had decided that, hey, we was gonna ride right there. We was gonna tear it. We was already in a war.
Right.
And we had hand grenades because everyone told us that don't turn in all your weapons. Keep some of the stuff up. We had hand grenades and we had ammo.
Mm-hmm.
But I thank God that we had some cool, calm heads, black, cool, calm, older guys.
Right.
And they told us and said, hey, even if you kill these white guys that's laughing and they were saying that King deserved to be assassinated and that he was a communist and he was just a black troublemaker.
Wow, right.
And so, like I said, we was going to rally, we was going to tear, we were going to make some scene. But like I said, it had some people with cool heads, older guys, said, you're not going to get away. You're going to kill a few. But a few of y'all going to get killed too.
Right.
And the ones that don't get killed, you're going to get hung, or you're going to be sent to level work for the rest of your life. So, like I said, I thank the Lord for the cool heads.
Right.
But like I said, we were intending to do our because we were young.
Right.
18, 19 years old, and this was, it was heartbroken. Dr. King assassinated, not died. He didn't die. He was killed.
Right.
All white man, And then what they were saying about him, that he was a communist and that he was a troublemaker, and that hurt us,
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, with some calm heads and thinking about it, that hey, no way we can get away with this.
Right.
Okay. Just like we talk about the looters and stuff, there's no way you can get away with this,
Mm-hmm.
So I came back to the United States and I was stationed in right outside of Los Angeles, California.
Mm-hmm.
And they put me in what they called a reactionary platoon, where I was supposed to back up the California National Guard.
Okay.
Platoon. So in riot situations or anything, they're gonna call out first they're gonna call out the state patrol, then they're gonna call out the governor, gonna call out the National Guard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we were the backup for the National Guard.
Okay.
So first of all, they had riot in Watts. They had a riot in Watts, California in 65. That was the first riot.
Mm-hmm.
The people burned down all their buildings and all their businesses and everything. Never did go to Hollywood. They were scared to go to Hollywood.
Right.
They burned down everything in Watts. So in 68, they had a second riot in Watts. And they sent, like I said, Howard Patrol, they sent the National Guard in, and then they had us standing by. The orders that we had was, if we seen any looting, stealing or looting, we're burning down, we were allowed to shoot. And we couldn't understand here. We have been to Vietnam, killing your people over there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to send us back to the United States and kill our own people? Because of course, Watt was all black.
Right.
And it was something that, hey, we couldn't think that our country would allow that to happen. But that was the orders. That was the orders that they gave us was, hey, we see you out there, you see people looting, TVs, food, shoot. And we just heard our president say something similar to that just a few days ago.
Right.
So this was the same thing given to us in 68 when we was in Watts. They arrested over 3,000 people in that riot.
Mm-hmm.
They found 40 something was killed. 40 some black people were killed. Women, children, all were killed.
Wow.
Yeah. So it worked for me. Well, next thing I wanted out of that unit. I raised a whole bunch of things about trying to get out because I said I was hurting inside because hey, I've been over there for 13 months in Vietnam. They gonna send me back here to shoot my own people.
Wow.
So I had a sort of I'm going to explain to you. I have a sort of a love-hate for our country.
Okay.
I
That's
love
fair.
this country.
That's
I don't want to
fair.
stay no place. Love it halfway around the world. I don't want to live no place else but the United States. But the United States do some real underhanded stuff, especially to our black race,
Right.
the African race. So that right there was one of my biggest experience with racism. And like I said, I have trouble with it because I'm seeing this a second time.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing is good this time. We got the young people.
Right.
The young people, the young people's not afraid of the cops.
Right.
We were afraid of the cops. We were taught always to respect them and sort of fear them. But,
Right. Nowadays, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna touch on that. We're gonna touch on that. We're gonna definitely touch on that. That's a great segue. Talking about our young people, because we have one that has been really on the front line during those protests, and we're going to hear from him. We wanted to start out with a good historical perspective on what has taken place in the past, and to see how some of those things are repeating themselves even on today. So next, we're going to hear from Brother Sean Holland. And so, Brother Sean, we know you've been out on the front lines protesting. You've actually been out there in this day and time. So we want to get your perspective on what's the atmosphere like on the front line, what is taking place, what are the people saying, and what is the really vibe when you're out there in the trenches in today's time?
Well, first of all, I just want to just honor to have this opportunity to sit here and talk about it. As far as the mentality and the attitude, what you see a lot is that they want justice. It's if I can describe, I can almost picture what it would be like if we were back in the times where Deke was talking about with that time. You have young, old, you have white, black, Asian, and the mentalities is that we want justice. Not only that, we want some of our politicians to change. We want some of the leaders to change. We want police to be to look at us different. Not only that, I see a lot of now where you see the black people that are leading it, that are kind of just out talking, the unspoken ones that have sons and daughters that have been a victim of police brutality as far as in the murdering. They're calling for allies. They're saying, hey, we can't do this without, those allies.
Right.
Allies. So the atmosphere, as you see, I think a lot of people, especially different races, are coming to the realization that we need to be into this too. We can't just sit back and let a race exterminate, because I have friends, I have co-workers or what may have you, or fellow Christians or whatever, and they're getting murdered, but I should be out there on the front line. What can I do? And I think this, when you see, I think the reason why they're doing it, because this time, for some unexplained reason, it was brutal. Like you seen when that cop sit on George Floyd's neck, you seen like no struggle, no nothing. He did it like casually, I think it was callous. It was cold-hearted. So I think that's when you see a lot of people raising up and saying, hey, it's time to do something. It's time to take charge. But as far as the marches, they're saying, Black Lives Matter, no justice, no peace, no racist police, things of that nature. So there's definitely a chance going on. There's all kinds of signs. It's a time. This is a time. If you experience this time, this is something that you will look back and like, man, at this time, history is
a part of that, right?
Yeah, you're a part of that, and the main reason that I wanted to be out there, because I experienced police brutality. Not police brutality, but discrimination from police, being harassed, things like that. Just minding my own business. One of the things, there's never been anything that's held solid,
right.
But there has been a part that I've been harassed. And also for young black men out there that, so to speak, that are coming up. I don't want them to experience things that I experienced. Right. Going through younger, when we didn't have the social medias and we didn't have the cameras and things of that nature. Those came later on. Police brutality obviously has been going on for a while. Right. But I think it's getting caught on camera, and it's so instant. Things go viral. Right. And when things go viral, you got hashtags and you got things of this nature. And I think that's why it's so like let's get out here. I think that's why you have so many people, because you can reach more people. And not to say back then they had a lot of people, but that was so quick. We could organize an event in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes. You can go on Facebook, you see there's different organizations that's setting up. and going out there to be able to protest and saying, look, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
You know, so, and I think that's really where the mentality is at.
Okay. All right, perfect. Enough. All right, we hear that. Enough is enough. Thank God for them being on the front lines. All right, next, we want to go to Brother Willie Barthel, a young man, a young single man. We want to give you a diverse group of people on tonight. So we have a young single black man. And what we want to know from him, what are your thoughts about this current environment that we're in? And then you as a young black man, do you have any fears or concerns about what lies ahead? If you don't, why don't you? And if you do, what are they?
Okay, well, first I'll say, as far as the current environment, I'm almost a little bit conflicted on it because I think it's good that there's an uproar on systematic injustice and police brutality, but as we just heard, this is something, it's like history repeats itself. So it's like every time we see something like this happen, from what I'm saying, it's like we do the same exact thing every time. We go out, we protest. And it's not to say protests are bad, but right now with the whole COVID, everybody been kind of locked up in the house. You have a whole bunch of people kind of on that Black Lives Matter movement, which I think is good. Like, we've never seen it in Japan or worldwide. Like, some of the stuff we're seeing right now is crazy. Like, it's great. But it almost gets kind of clouded from the root issue of what I think we're fighting for. And if we, in my opinion, if we always are reacting from like an emotional standpoint or viewpoint and without using logic and like settling back and just saying, okay, like, how can we go about this? How can we really bring about change? Then, you just never know if it's going to work. And so I guess as far as like fears, that kind of ties into some of the fears I do have. It's like, okay, we can do all this, but is it really going to work? Is it too late? Do we really have any power? Like, we have our black-owned businesses, we can do that, but at the end of the day, the white man has all the money and the power. So you start to look at all these different angles, like, okay, it does almost feel like we're, this is kind of our reality, but you don't want to accept it. You still want to, speak your opinion, speak your thoughts, speak up, fight for equality. But, I think we got to be better and almost be like outsmart the people who have, put these policies in place to attack us, through healthcare, through education, through police brutality, and find different ways to combat that outside of just the normal go down and like protest. We all want the same goal. We all want equality.
Right.
And you do need a variety of different ways: voting, you protest, people, leaders, all this kind of stuff, to get ultimately to try to get to the end goal. Because I saw what you said this week about like ultimately we can do all the screaming Black Lives Matter we want, but if the people don't have a heart to want to change, it's not going to do anything. Yeah, that goes into my fears in terms of like, it sucks that this could just be our reality. It might be too late because it's kind of messy, it's all over the place. You got this person saying what we should do, this person saying what we should do, people saying we should do this, people saying we should, And then I guess the other scary thing is that this could possibly turn into an even bigger issue, like a race war. If justice isn't served just for this specific case, like if they already started breaking windows just for a couple of days off of the officers not getting arrested immediately or whatnot, or just seeing that video, what's going to happen if they don't get convicted or get a fair conviction? And of course, and then you got the whole election coming up and whatever happens with that. So that's a scary thing too, being black. If it just starts being, just people just getting killed for no reason. You just see somebody in both ways, So that's kind of my viewpoint for now, and I'll say some other stuff for later.
All right. So he's more or less talking like a lot of civil unrest based on what's taking place, and will be a lot of civil unrest That was a good point. I'm sure you shook some people up with that statement, but that's a good perspective coming from a young man in his age category. All right, next, we have a family man. Lethero Petway, he's a family man. So we want his perspective as a family man, a father, a husband. To you as a family man, what would your message be to black men? And what do you believe overall that black men should be focusing on from your point of view?
Well, I believe not doing anything that's doing with the riot and all that stuff. I believe as I would speak to a black man is I would tell him that we need to get out of our box. There's jobs and like how he said that the white man has we can have that job. We can be in that position. The same way that people, it was probably about like 15 years ago, I had a coworker that said, I told him, I said, a black man can't be a president. He said, I would never lie to my child and tell him that a black man can be a president. I said, why would you tell him that? Why would you limit? Why are you limiting yourself?
Okay.
And look, we had Barack Obama.
Right,
so
right.
Never limit yourself. We can be whatever we want to be. And we got to get out of that box. And that's where, like, when I got out of a job I wanted to do, I got myself out of the box. I was going to be a firefighter. I'm like, I'm doing something different. Or like, we want to make a change in the police department, let's go get them jobs. Let's go fill those jobs up. But then as a family man, I would tell a black man, we gotta, like getting them jobs, we gotta instill something into our kids. That's what they doing. That's how they uplift their kids. We gotta get positive jobs, good jobs that we can tell our kids where you can work at and how to be. And like a married man or just a man that just has a family, show them a positive role model in the house.
Okay.
Don't argue in front of your kids. Don't be fighting. What they see that they're going to grow up and they're going to probably think that's acceptable. You show them that that's not acceptable. To me personally, a man should never ever hit a woman. I have never hit that. That's something that would never cross my mind. We gotta teach these young men. And we just gotta be positive role models. Where they, like, your sons and your daughters grow up, your daughter they know how a man's supposed to be.
Right.
They might even look for a man like my daddy. Or the son, he like, no, my dad did this, my dad did this, positive things. And that's what we just gotta have a positive outlook on our kids and our children.
All right, sir. Yeah, that's powerful there. Get out the box. Don't limit yourself. Anything you want to go for it. Even though we may have one here that may not believe things can change, you have to go for it. You have to push yourself, and you have to really go for what you want. Go for everything. So we definitely thank God for those remarks there. All right, now let's go ahead and just step into this thing just a little bit more. Now, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. We've heard some historical perspective, and we heard what's going on, and we know a lot of things that have taken place, period. But this time, it just seems different. Now, we weren't back there in history, but for some reason, it just seemed like this time is different from different black men that have been murdered by police. Anybody got any thoughts on that? Why? Or am I the only one to think that? Does anybody think it just seems different this time?
I think it seems different because of Dick Cheney, what he said about the coalition. We got to have everybody in this. Every black, white. We got to have the white group. We got to have the white people with us. We might not get to the majority, but we get partial of it. We got to have the Hispanics. That's another coalition. We got the Hispanics with it. We got to have the Chinese. We got to have a coalition of all of them that's involved. Before we didn't have everyone involved. We just had black, and everybody. And then the whites always said they're trying to take our jobs. They're trying to take our women. These black men, they don't want anything. We really didn't have the coalition that you have today. And that we need it. Don't let nobody go by that we don't need it. We need it badly.
Okay.
I'll say two things. First, I think with the COVID, I kind of mentioned earlier, with the COVID-19 and people being so attentive to online and all of that and being locked in the house, that the fact that like right when it felt like things were gonna open up, you see, this black man get murdered. So everybody's like, what? Like, let's get out, let's go protest. Like this needs to, this everybody's aware, because in the past, when we see, the Trayvon March and all that type of stuff, it would just be kind of like, maybe a week or two we'll give it some attention and go back to our daily lives, the Cavs are playing tonight, let's watch the game, like that type of thing. Like it wasn't, now that everything's shut down, it's like, oh, well, like we have no choice but to focus on this.
And so my point is, and I don't know if it's different because it went viral so fast, or is it different because it was so evil? And it was so callous how it was done. Did that really grab not just black people's attention, but white people, Chinese, just the callousness of the act itself this time? Because it was like, the slow motion, and then, the look on his face. And I'm like, okay, is that what triggered? Did that what triggered the thought? I'm just thinking out loud.
I don't know. Me personally, I think it's spiritually, because we've been killed by police before, but this time it's what can hit every continent, every state, or everywhere is protested. I mean, me personally, only there's two people that have that control is God and devil, and that's what's working is good versus evil going on right now. Started with the COVID and all that stuff, and Trump is not helping, and that's what I think. That's what.
Don't start saying that. You're gonna get some people mad. I'm just saying it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, besides spiritual, I can't explain of how everybody jumped on it this time. This isn't even, might not even be the worst time that we were killed by police or killed by anybody.
Worst what we've seen, kind of. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that,
Right.
but everybody's jumping on this, and I can't explain why.
Okay, we'll get you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Say, my other point was that I think black culture and today has had such an impact on everything. It's like in fashion, it's in music, it's all you pretty much see on TV, that now people are like, wait, hold on a minute, like why is this happening to black people? Like black lives do matter.
All lives matter.
We know that, but it seems like our lives don't matter. So that's the core of Black Lives Matter. It's not saying like nobody else's lives matter. Which, when you say that, I have noticed, kind of going back to what I think about the current environment, I have noticed though that we have to be, I feel like we have to be too careful that we're not too pro-black, that we keep ourselves segregated from the rest.
Woo! Be careful there. Don't be too pro-black. Whoa, that's a deep one. I'm just saying.
No, because I mean, you look at the Asians, the Jews and stuff, they kind of have their own little thing within America, but they're not, well, I guess we're not seeing them get killed, so there's that. But,
right.
I just think we can, again, just be smart about stuff. But yeah, I definitely think this time feels different, just like with the COVID, the influence of black culture on everybody in the younger generation. Like there's definitely more integration in terms of like schooling and people hanging out and all that type of stuff, that it's not, so segregated as it once was. And that's why you do have worldwide, because now you got artists traveling worldwide and all this type of influence of black culture everywhere in the world, that people are like, enough is enough and we need to put away with these, old racist, outdated ways.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why I think it's different.
Okay.
The difference is you got video. Just like the brother passed away, this been going on for years. For a lifetime. As far as I can remember, I can remember growing up of young teenagers getting killed right here in Columbus. The police come and say, well, they had a gun. Nobody seen it. They always took the police word. Oh, I was fearful for my life. They took his word. No video. But now we got video. We can record it. No lie. You can't hide now. So this This is the difference. You got, it's recorded.
Okay.
You cannot lie.
Okay.
What's going on too a lot too, we have some people that have like a Malcolm philosophy, so to speak, and a Martin philosophy. And I think they're kind of like, well, yeah, and that's where you get into the whole burner thing. Let's burn this down by any means necessary. But then you get people, if that's what your resolve is, but what are you going to do after the fact?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's where, and it's kind of almost saying like, we need Martin too. We need some Martins. Because we need somebody, after all that happens, and then we quote unquote get their attention, we need somebody to speak eloquently. To say, hey, we need this in play. We need you to do this, we need you to do that. And I think, like I said, there's so many videos. That video went viral. You can watch the video non-stop.
Right.
And people have been sharing it all down the timeline. People say, so that's why you see so much of it. I think that's where people are jumping on, because, like, you can send that, you can hit that send, and everybody sees it. You can share it. You see things that have a million shares, 1,000 shares.
Rodney King was video.
Yeah. And that's why I said, I think, but one of the main things I just think about this particular situation, one, it is a new day and it's a new age. And I just think that even though people hear about it, even though white people have heard it, even though everybody has heard about it, and that's why I just think this particular time, to see the slowness of it, like the I do not care for this life, I know y'all videoing, and I'm still gonna do it. And I'm thinking, so when I think because a lot of times white people, they may not want to admit it. Oh, he must have did something, or they must have did something, or they must have went over here, or they must have said something. But this time, when you saw it, even if he had done something, halfway through you could have got up. Even if he had, you had plenty of time to say, I'm going to stop, but he didn't.
And nobody stopped you.
Put my hand in the pocket, and I'm just going to keep this down.
I was gonna say another thing too is that we just seen the video of Ahmaud Arbery, and so you have that, and then like 2 weeks later you see that, like that goes into it too. Just people just like, yo, what? They're really just killing people like this, have no emotions or any regards or feelings towards Black lives. They just, for us to always go viral too, getting killed, just spreading that imagery, creating that Black trauma and stuff, it almost feels like it is forced to keep us scared, to keep us intimidated, to keep us, in that fearful state of mind, and I mean, yeah, it's sad to see.
I just feel that they don't value us. Just like the other woman caught that, she thought she was in her house and she went in there and killed the man. It happens over and over, and cops just think they got the power to do anything, and they don't feel we have no value, so they don't care what they do to us, and they get away with it. So keep doing it.
Or let me ask y'all this. When you first hear about a Black man that has been killed by police, what is your first thought? When you hear that a Black man has been killed by police, what is your first thought?
Not again.
Okay.
I guess my thing is, I think, what brought them to the point that they felt they had to kill this man? Like, because I'm thinking, what said, okay, we have to use excessive force on this guy? You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking, again, now you use excessive force on this guy. Now you use excessive force on this guy.
Right.
What gets you to this point where you feel like, I gotta immediately kill it? And then you see something we just gonna arrest him, we just gonna take him, you know what I'm saying? Maybe feed him some food or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Lock him up, but we ain't gonna sit there and use excessive force, even though he may not, the crime that the person that took to eat was way more violent. Way more violent.
Right.
But, I just always think, why did they have to use excessive force?
To do that.
Yeah.
Now, I would say also along those lines, because I think a lot of things we have to kind of consider and look at is the media's role in this. How the media has done things that have kind of programmed us and caused our minds to think a certain way. When I say as far as how our minds think a certain way. Because unfortunately, if I'm honest with myself, a lot of times, I'm going to say every time, but if I'm being honest, sometimes when I initially hear that, I'm like, was he compliant? And I think, because now a lot of times, and I think I don't know if that's the right mindset to have, but my thinking is giving them the benefit of the doubt, when over and over again, we know we should give them, meaning the police, the benefit of the doubt. So one of the thoughts that come to my head was he compliant? Now, I think a lot of that is media driven, because a lot of times when that happens, they're going to go to his history, and they want to pull all this stuff out. They want to pull all this stuff out.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on what you were saying about the media, and that's true. Like, we literally only get portrayed as athletes, artists, thugs, or getting killed by police or lynched. That's all you see about black men in the media. That's all you see. And so, yeah, that I can see exactly why you would think that, because that's all you get shown when something happens like that. By black men getting killed by police, is usually he was yelling at the cop before. You see a video of him yelling before or something, or he was a thug, a criminal. I mean, even still, you got people bringing that up about George Floyd now. Saying he was a criminal. We don't praise this guy, but hopefully he gets his justice. But that's not, So the media definitely, again, that kind of goes back to my original point that there's so many levels to it. And it's so messy. We got to deal with the media against us. We got to deal with, politics and healthcare and education and them forcing drugs into the black communities. All these different ways to keep the black man dumbed down. And it does make you feel powerless sometimes. But even with that being said, here we are still fighting today. So,
Okay.
Well, me personally, you always, what you say, did he comply, did he do what they say? Me personally, regardless if he punched the officer or he fought back, there is no excuse to kill nobody. You train. You train. And it's 2 of y'all, it's 3 of y'all. You don't need to pull out your gun and shoot nobody. Or if you shoot, just wound them but you to kill somebody, Coach? No. And there's no regardless of what a person do, there's no excuse to kill somebody at your job. No, there's no excuse there. So when I hear it, I mean, there's no excuse. Unless he was shooting at you, there's no excuse.
Okay. D?
Okay. I worked 6 years with Dunbar Armor. I had to go to Zapata School. Zapata School is where you requalify they carry the weapon and everything. We go to Zapata School with police officers. I went with Zapata School with some of the police officers from Westerville and all around the small area. They do not teach you the wound. They teach you to shoot in the mask, just like you said, the chest area, all this area up in here, and they empty your weapon. You don't shoot 1, 2, or 3 shots. You empty your weapon, so whoever's there attacking you, they will no longer be a threat.
Now that's powerful right there, because I've subconsciously I thought that, because when you hear about a lot of times when these guys end up getting shot, it ain't like one time, it's like they got shot like 18 times, like 30-something rounds went off. That's what they trying to do, to empty the weapon.
Empty your weapon. You shoot to the whatever that's getting ready to attack you.
Mm-hmm.
You shoot to it. They're completely still. You don't shoot the wound. You shoot the kill. Empty your weapon. Now I like I said, I'm Zapata. I'm Zapata right now. But that's what they teach you in Zapata. All the police officers have to go every 2 years. I think the Columbus, I think they got 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But the armor car drivers, every 2 years.
Okay.
But they say they shoot to kill, they train, but they know how when there's people with lighter skin to us not to pull that trigger.
Oh, Petway, you said something. You're right now. You're right on that, Petway. You're right on that one.
Or why is like a boxer? If you're a licensed boxer, you ain't allowed to get in a street fight because you're a licensed boxer. But if you're a cop, you can go out there and kill somebody. But I mean, it's crazy. You a boxer, you got to learn how to restrain yourself because you know what you can do to that person. But a cop ain't got to learn how to restrain himself because he know what he can do to that person. And they walk away. That's crazy. The boxer gonna go to jail for beating somebody up. The cop gonna go home and eat a sandwich.
Now that was powerful there, because really when you think about that, and that was so good, Petway. Why can they control when they shooting at, or they're trying to subdue a white person, but you cannot control when you shoot at a black person? Now, one thing I did see is an ingrained fear that most people just have of black people. It's just a fear that they do have, that they don't have that same fear towards another white person.
Which is why I think they need to do better at assigning certain police officers to certain areas. Like a police officer that has no experience or anything like that, or being around black people, or being around rough neighborhoods. You got a police officer that's from Delaware training in Chillicothe, and you're gonna put them in, up on Linden or something.
Right.
In the most dangerous, violent neighborhood. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? In terms of controlling yourself, yeah, they're gonna be scared or have stereotypes about every black person living in a bad area, and you know what I mean? It's kind of ridiculous.
And
That's just like that. I mean, like you said, they way out and they come to the city. I was working down off of Cleveland Avenue, one of the number streets, and it was a guy with lighter skin than me, and we had.
No, just for clarity, when you say lighter skin, are you saying white or just light skin?
I'm saying white.
Okay, yeah, let's get clear. Go ahead. Let's get clear. All right.
Now we was working at the store to get their power back on. And the guy one guy, he just came by and walked, and the white guy I was working with, he's like, we gotta get out of here, I'm scared. I'm like, for what? Maybe because I'm used to it, but just because he was scared because the black guy walked by. Now imagine a cop, they just nervous and they just shooting anything and everything. Wow.
And I will say too, I've known some cops personally, just working, certain jobs. And some of them, even though they work in the Worthington areas where it may not be as much going on, they want to go to the area. Some of them want to go to those areas. And it's like almost like a football team. If the more aggression that you show, it's almost like they reward that by you want to be an aggressive? We're going to put you where it's aggressive. Now, some people that are in an aggressive area don't want no problems. They just want to go in there, they want to do their job, they want to make it home to their family. But there are cops that actually want to go where the fires are at. They want to go to the action because maybe they got something within them they got to settle. I don't know. But there are cops that actually want to go to where the action's at.
Okay, I agree with that. Go ahead.
I work with a police officer, where Bryce, between Refugee and where the Lowe's store, Bryce area.
Yes.
He worked there. He gave out 4 tickets in that area. I work with the good guy, and his idea was if 3 black men was in a car together, he pulled you over. He did a 50 on you. That was his, and he told me that. I don't know why he told me, but he told me, he said, when I see 3 black men, they must be up to something. So I pull them over and I run a 50 on them.
Wow. Now, when you say something like that, go ahead, but you're going to say something.
I was just going to say, and the thing is, there's other cops who know this stuff and won't speak up. So then they go, well, blue lives matter too. There's good cops too. Okay, yeah, we know that, but if they're not saying anything, they're just as bad.
That's right.
Or if you're standing there and you see this dude he's using too much force, excessive force, and you're not like, okay, you don't try to interfere, like, okay, we got him, good. What does that say? And I get like police officers, they have families, you want to support the kid, you don't want to risk losing your job if you speak up or something, but enough is enough. Like, if you're a good cop, then show us you're a good cop.
So do y'all believe there's a majority good or majority bad cops? What's y'all thinking on that? Majority good cops, majority good?
There's a majority good cops, but
Majority
just like Brother Will said, hey, if you sit there and you know your buddy or your partner is aggressive and doing wrong, and you just let him go ahead about it, don't bring it up or press charges against him, you're part of the problem.
Okay.
Some years ago, it was a woman that came on. She spoke up like she was really eccentric. She really wanted to get her voice about what was going on, and she got ostracized, so to speak. She got outed, and not to paint an excuse or anything like that. I think where it's at, they may be afraid that they're going to be outed. You know what I'm saying? So like, and this is how I think in my mind. If we're going to a dang situation, and it could be a shootout, and I think this person is going to snitch on me for whatever, or telling me for whatever going on. You know what I'm saying? I may not be so prone to quote unquote get his back, or he may not be prone to get my back because I told on him, and then it's kind of like some kind of issue. I'm not excusing it. You should tell regardless, but I think that's where they're saying, I'm not going to tell because I want to make sure if we go into a dangerous situation, this person has my back.
That's definitely one way to look at it. Go ahead.
And I'll say this last thing, maybe y'all can help me on this, but because I've been kind of like studying up and trying to get more into the historical aspect of all this stuff. But I believe the police originally were formed as a way to catch black slaves and return them to their slave owners, right? So if that's the case, then to me, the core of police is inherently racist. And it's just a faulty core. So there just needs to be a completely, a police reform. Because at the core of it, and I know not all cops are racist, not all cops are bad,
But
the core,
the foundation of it.
right? It's like the core of America is
Right.
founded on racism and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not even just gonna say cops, it's just white people in general. And some of them just happen to be cops. I mean, that's just how they look at it. It's like if we walk down the street. I mean, when they say a white woman, she grab her purse, they go to the other side of the street.
Yeah.
That's just how they feel about us, and I don't know why. I mean,
Do we, as black men, garner or carry any of the responsibility as far as how we are treated?
I think sometimes we do have to understand, just shut up. I mean, and I don't want to say, like, if you get into a situation, you trying to provoke it, because sometimes this is better than this. They say a soft answer turns away strife. So sometimes if you just be quiet, and it may, now you may still get in a situation, you may get caught,
Right.
and then something still may happen. But don't provoke it. When, like myself, particularly when I go into a store, if I got a hood or a hat on, I'm taking that hood and hat off. I'm unzipping my coat. I'm saying hi to somebody. I'm smiling. Now, will I still get profiled? Yeah, probably. But I'm not. But now I know. I tried everything within my power.
Why should you have to do
That's what I was going to say.
Why should you have to do that?
This is the
Why
world
should
we
we
live
have to? Why should we have to not speak up when we know a cop? Cop pulls over, I need your license. Am I being detained? We can't even do that. Next week we just ask, am I being detained? Or we got some sense and we actually know the law, and the cop get out the car because we know the law. We speaking up for ourselves, But I will say though, like even complying and being quiet and all that, there's videos out there, people doing that, and it goes left. So
Yeah.
I say sometimes.
Right.
well, I feel the same way the cops are overreact. We do the same thing. We overreact to cops. I remember one time I was driving and a cop was next to me. Then he got behind me and pulled me over because of my tax was expired. I said, you pulled me over because I'm black. I ain't do nothing. I'm just driving. But in reality, it's just they got the things on the back of their cars in front of them. It just ran my tag. But I just you saw a black man pull him over. So sometimes we gotta chill out. They gotta chill out and.
That's what you were saying is, and I kind of more on this side. It seems like we feel the necessity to make them feel comfortable. We feel like we have to go out of our way to make them feel comfortable so they don't inflict harm on us. A lot of times we feel like we have the speakers to say hello, and you have to go someplace and take that off because you don't want to be perceived a certain way. And whether it's right or wrong, that's what I admonish that we do. Because at the end of the day, we want everybody to get home. And you know, sometimes, and even though we've seen situations where that has not happened, but we want to do everything we can to get home. Whether we know some people have not provoked and have not made it home, but the things that we can't control. Yes, I've talked to my son exactly what to do when you get pulled over by the police. I tell him exactly what to do. You know, I put your hands on the thing. Do not move until they tell you to move. I'll tell them before they get to your door, already have your license and your registration already out, so you ain't got to reach in no compartments. Tell him, and I'll run that over with him. And he got pulled over. He got pulled over one time, and not only got pulled over, he got pulled out of the car. But he remained calm, and even though they tried to trick him, and I was proud of Darius. He just remained calm. He didn't raise his voice. It was no sir, and yes, you know, thank God that he made it home. But it just seems like we do have that pressure where we have to make them feel comfortable. Now, I don't think that's right, but that's reality.
Need more people like you to tell these young kids and the people how to act. Everybody, like, they watch the videos on YouTube. Oh no, I can say this, I can do this, I got my rights, and that just gonna make it worse.
Make it work.
Give them what they need and go home.
I mean, a brief story. One year, I think it was like 2006. I was traveling from Maryland, and I was tailgating. It was late. I was kind of sleepy, but I get pulled over by two cops, and you know they initially pulled. They said they got some of my driver's license and everything, but then they asked me to step out. Now I could have been like, "Why I gotta step out?" But I just stepped out. They patted me down. They ran everything. Everything came back clean, and then on top of that, they still tried to indict me and say like, "Oh, you couldn't check the trunk. There was nothing in the trunk." They went through my luggage. They went through everything. They literally patted me down on the freeway while cars are passing.
Right.
But the fact is, when I started telling them who I was, he said, "What do you do?" "I work this job and I do this, I do that." It was like, oh, it was a blameless situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I know everybody doesn't have that, but when the truth came out, they really couldn't do anything. They couldn't touch me in that sense.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and I know, like I said, everybody doesn't have a situation, but when but if I could have been like, well, why you want to pull me out? Why you want to search me? You just doing it because I'm black. It's two cops versus me.
Right.
We don't know what could have happened.
Right.
You know, so sometimes, I mean, and I'm not saying it all the time, no. Sometimes it's like, hey man, why you rational? It's my own business. But then sometimes, just let it go.
Share with us maybe some experiences that you may have had where you feel like, where you experienced racism yourself, if you've had any, where you feel like, dang, you know, this happened, and you know it was because you were black. Now, I would just say a couple of situations that I can just say that I had. I remember when I first started going to college, and, you know, my very first day at college, I was walking at Ohio University, and these white guys just drove past me and my friend that said, "N-words go home." That was they said, "N-words go home." I mean, not far after that, I was out in Westerville. I was driving up the Audubon to play basketball, and these white guys just pulled up to me and was like, "N-word, N-word." And I remember times walking on campus, and I've had that happen. When you're walking past a car, and I never forget this particular night, I had a suit on, and I was clean. I was on my way to a function, and I walked past this white lady in her car, and all I heard was the doors lock. Now, I would say the most challenging experience I had, one day it was me and I had some of my son's friends in the car. I just took them to a basketball tournament, and we were driving home at night, and the police pulled us over. And I'm like, okay, now I know I wasn't speaking. So immediately, I told the three young men in our car, the two in the back seat, I said, "Put your hands on the back seat." Told my son, "You put your hands on, the dash," and I put my hands up. And the officer just came up and was like, "You were zigzagging in and out of traffic." And I'm like, "No, sir, I don't think I was, but okay, I apologize." And he goes, "Yes, you were weaving in and out of traffic." And I'm like, "Okay, I apologize." And I didn't say nothing. I just said, "I apologize for that." He went on his way. But I ain't gonna lie, I was scared. Because I'm like, for one, I know I wasn't zigzagging. So I'm like thinking, why would you just come to my car and just make up something? Just that whole time, just make up something. I did not move, I did not flinch. And it was just like, I ain't gonna lie, my heart was pounding because I was just scared, like, why would he? And I know, now if I was, I'll admit it. But like, I know we was just driving. I don't know if I was driving in a Mercedes and he pulled us over or what, but it was just like that, that did shake me up a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, thankfully it doesn't happen. Anybody, any other experiences anybody had?
Well, I had got a couple experiences I'm trying to run through real quick. I remember back in high school, me, my brother, and my cousins, we was going to, I think it was a reception or a wedding in Youngstown, and our GPS took us to the wrong hall, and the white people came out. Oh, they helped us. They said, no, it's down the road. So we went down the road. By the time we got down there, a cop was there waiting on us, came right behind us and pulled us over. And the same lady that gave us the directions, said we pulled a gun out on her. I'm like, wow. So he pulled us out, searched the car, and all that. I'm like, what is that for? Then another time in Youngstown, I went to an AutoZone, and I'm in line, and I already knew what was going on because the kid turned around and said, Daddy, look. He turned around, yeah, I know, son. So I already know how he was being raised. Then up here, sometimes they just say stuff that they don't know they're being racist, but they're being racist. A guy, and while I was at work, he was nice, and he was just talking to me, and he was just saying, yeah, you know what? Back in my day, I wasn't allowed to walk around that freely.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
He just said, we never believed that y'all could have a good job. And that's what he told me. I'm like, wow. Another one at work, I'm getting out of my company truck, and the lady looked at me and said, oh, looking at you made me go close my garage door. Somebody just got broke into. Looking at me made you do that? Then the other two times, but
You got a fine up.
last two, but my car, I had music and I had rims, and I just moved up here and I was going back to Youngstown, and the cop pulled me over, and I said, what did I do? Nothing. You just got the #1 stolen car in Columbus. That's why I pulled you over. I'm like, is that all right to pull somebody over because you feel like the #1 car? And the same car a couple years later, I'm going down the street, and the cop, he had somebody pulled over, but saw me going down the street, left that person, and came and followed me and got behind me, and I missed my turn, so I had to go all the way around the block. And I asked him, what did I do? You circling my blocks. This is a drug area. This is my area. But what did I do? I ain't never seen this car before. Okay, what did I do? Hey, this is my block, and that's what he told me.
You look guilty.
Yes.
A car with rims and music.
#1.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got any experiences they want to share?
I say one that it happened in 2005. I went down to Louisiana to help with the hurricane and everything, and we were driving. We were 7 black men. We had a company truck. We had a couple cars, just personal cars. But as we were just looking for directions, and we pulled up to I believe it was a Speedway. I can't remember what it was. No, I think it was BP. And we pulled up, and I guess because of all the looting that was going on, they thought we were. I remember they thought we were looters, even though we all had white T-shirts on, we all had black pants, and we was all. I remember she still always game, even though we had the big truck. They actually said a big logo on there. But nonetheless, as we go up to the door, she locks the door. Like, literally locks it. Smack, smack. That's all we hear. We like, oh, we just looking for directions. 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes later, here comes the cruiser. Cop pulls up. You know, he was cool about it. He didn't harass us or anything. He was just saying, you know, I think she was just kind of alerted or whatever. And she peeks out the door. You want some Gatorade? To the cop. Like, you know, we were thinking like, man, is this where we're on? We just trying to find directions.
Right.
We're from Columbus, Ohio. And then that's just one of the situations. Another situation, same spot, Louisiana. And forgive me for being, I guess, what they call a northern or whatever. Going down to a southern area, not realizing they still had some of that mentality down there.
Right.
So it was a gentleman, and he was just kind of just talking. I mean, this guy he was about 6 something. He just cuts in front of me in a line and puts his stuff down. I'm like, you know, being me, I'm like, excuse me, sir, I was here first. He turns around and like stares me down. I'm like, wait, hold on, wait. And I'm staring him down. I'm thinking to myself, is this really about to happen? You know, I'm in the church. I'm like, but I was always in the church. So but in my mind, I'm thinking like, hey, I'm from, you know, from where I'm from, we don't do this. But from where they from, it was almost like, hey, you like, you
Get
know,
to the back.
get to the back of the line. What you doing? You know, N-word.
Right.
But anyway, that was a couple of my experiences that I experienced as far as racism.
Okay. All right, now, so you had mentioned something, even though not in the same vein, but you had mentioned something, you know, down in Louisiana as far as looting and things of that nature. What is your take? Okay, so I understand we have the protesting going on. So I do understand, we understand that they're protesting right now. What is your take on, and I know people don't want to talk a lot about this, more than likely not black people, I don't believe, but what is your take on the looting and the rioting that's taking place while all this stuff is going on? What is your feelings on the looting and the rioting that's taking place?
I would say, who's to say what the right or wrong way is to do stuff right, or how to protest? Who's to really say? Because when you go back history and you look and you say, okay, well, the peaceful way didn't work. We tried this way, and then so now it's almost like I don't really think people. I'll say that. There are certain people who do want to loot, who just want to be down there to loot, and that's just ignorant. Like, nobody, I don't agree with looting or anything. There's certain people that are just doing that just to take advantage of the opportunity. But in terms of like the breaking the violence, the breaking the windows and stuff, I still don't agree, but I can also understand the rage and anger of like so many years of this reoccurrence of the same thing. It's like, what do y'all expect? Y'all didn't pay attention to our peaceful protests or our signs. Then how are y'all gonna get mad at us for breaking windows? You know, is a pair of shoes worth more than my life getting, you know, taken by the people who are supposed to protect and serve me?
Okay.
You know, because you do have some companies that are like, hey, we understand they stole stuff, but Black Lives Matter, you know, this is where we're at. Like, we definitely understand their rage and there needs to be changes. So you have companies themselves saying, you know, like, yeah, they stole some shoes, but materials can be replaced.
Okay.
But I believe it's right and wrong. You know, we know that it is the right way to do things. Like you said, some down there is just an opportunity to steal. You know, I don't believe protesting is great. I think that's one of the greatest things that we do. But this looting and destroying property, you don't need to do that. That's the extraction, how they extract from what we're trying to do. Because everybody don't look at how you're having a peaceful march. First thing we look at the ones that loot and destroying property. Just like you said, Brother Willie, there was a business up in the short north. The gentleman came out. They sold all this stuff out of the store. He said, well, I'm going to start all over again. But he said, you know what? Black Lives Matter. He said this. You know, I was really, shocked. He said they took all my stuff, all my product, all my storage. They broke all my windows. But he said, but Black Lives Matters.
Yeah. If you're going to do it, I guess if they download hit the state buildings and things of that nature, I can't say I have a disagreement with that. Usually somebody may feel weird about that. But when you hit city buildings and things of that nature, because those are the people that are making, quote unquote, making the laws.
Right, now let me squeeze this in there. Let me squeeze this in there. So when we look at those, and this is one thing where it's different this time. Because a lot of times, previously, when we would riot and loot, we would do it in our own neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So when you riot and you loot, you tear up your own neighborhood. Now, we tearing up their stuff.
Right.
When you're going downtown, and they don't went up there on Melrose Avenue in Hollywood, they breaking into Louis Vuitton and Gucci, they starting to hit their stores, and I think that's one of the reasons they want to pay attention. Because now it's hitting them. Nobody can just be in the hood, tearing up the mom and pop stuff, our own businesses. But now, they never been downtown tearing up the Ohio Theater and tearing up stores downtown. It's starting to hit their stuff now. My fault, who was next? I got me stirred up now. Not to say that I agree with it, but I'm saying I think that has gotten their attention because it's right, it has changed the conversation.
Me personally, like you said, looting, we've been doing this for a long time. I mean, it could be another 300 years, looting is wrong, period. That's just hands down. We can't be mad at them for doing something wrong, then we go do something wrong. You go protest, you organize the protest, and you take the next step. You do the right things,
But he's saying we've done that and it ain't worked.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
I mean,
he's saying
that's life. That's life. I mean, we like I said, it could be another 300 years. Looting is wrong. Looting is wrong, period. Hands down, it's wrong.
I want to bring up this point. What did America do when 9/11 hit us? We went over there and we started tearing up their stuff. Just me. But now looting is wrong because I guess within America, because black people are getting killed. I mean, to me, it's the same rage and anger and fight for justice in a sense.
ooh, that's powerful.
You know what I mean? 9/11, we were all like, yeah, let's go to war, let's go tear up their stuff. Now Black lives, we're getting slain in the streets, but don't tear up stuff now.
But
Oh,
you gotta.
That's
I'm
powerful.
only speaking for myself,
Right,
and
right,
you
right.
want to speak for
All
yourself. So, like you said, 9/11. I mean, just because they doing wrong, we gotta do wrong.
I'm just saying, this entire country pretty much is founded on looting and wars
I mean,
and tearing up stuff. So how they gonna sit here and say we can't tear up? I'm not advocating for it, but I'm saying, how can you really just be like, oh, they need to stop? That's wrong. Yeah, but you went and killed innocent people in Iran, Iraq, blah blah blah, because of
Native Americans here.
right, Native Americans and us.
Right. Ooh. I know what you're saying. I ain't saying I disagree with you, but I'm just saying.
But I'm
I
gonna leave it
know.
alone.
I know. I'm not.
My next one will is no. It's no.
Okay, I'm not saying I disagree, but I'm just saying that's a powerful conversation. When you kind of break it down and look at it, we know it's not our goal or our intent to do evil for evil. But when something has been instilled in there, and like I say, I know at some point, I can say this, turn the other cheek and all like that. But like sometimes, folks, when they get to that point, is enough, somebody gonna suffer.
Oh yeah.
And it may not be right, but they just gonna tear some stuff up. And like I say, and that's why I say it's so different. We tearing up their stuff. Because I don't think, back when we were just tearing up our neighborhoods, they didn't really care. As long as we know where they at, they come find. They can go ahead and tear up their neighborhoods. But now when they start tearing up our stuff, okay, now we need to get involved.
You can even get like biblical with it. Didn't
That's
like
God
God
going.
tear up stuff?
Oh, he done went there on
I don't know the exact scriptures or the quote or whatever,
But you brought it up. I was gonna leave it out. You brought it up. Everybody that's looting, they gotta answer to God. You're gonna have to answer to God. That's why I say right is, you gotta do right. Regardless of something bad happens to you. Just like if someone kills your loved one, you want to kill that person, but that ain't right. You're not gonna do it. And maybe that's what we need to do is get God into this march and get God into down there to change some things so they can stop looting.
Now I do believe that we do know, like I said, one thing I said, we know there needs to be, if it's not done through His Spirit, it ain't gonna be done. Because I don't know if we can, and I'm just gonna be honest, I don't know if we can eradicate racism. I don't know if we can totally eradicate racism. I just don't. I want to believe that it's possible. I really want to believe. So, just like in salvation, you may not be able to reach all of them, but those that can be reached, let them be reached. Those that can change, let them be changed. You may not get all of them, but those that can change because they can help impact it on that line. So what do we expect from white people? What do we expect? What is our expectation of white people? What do we think? Do we expect anything from them, or what do we need them to do? What is our expectation of white people? Or we just feel like we in this alone?
No, I think it's their responsibility to clean up all of this because they are the founders of it. So we can fight, we can do all of that, but we've done that for so long that it is kind of our time to, I don't want to say like backpedal. I would never say that, but more so like, okay, y'all joining this movement. You know, you see a lot of people, companies, stuff standing up. So it's y'all job to communicate with y'all families and educate yourselves.
Any other expectations?
Just as Brother Willie said, we need to get them to educate themselves. Look here, if you're going to be with us, this is what we've been going through. You might not have known it, but this is what we've been going through. You know, and if you're going to help us, you're going to have to really realize what we've been going through for umpteen years. And if you're going to be with us, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to study, you know, and get with us and support us. Really support us. Not just by lip talk.
Lip service, right?
Yeah,
Right.
you got to do it by physically being out there with us, supporting us with finances. You know, these are things you got to do. You know, the white people. That's
Okay.
what they do.
All right. You know, like I said, I look along those lines, and I think at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to their heart and their root. They're accepting what has taken place, and they're like, listen, we need to consider everybody equal. Now, it's not going to happen overnight because, you know, it didn't take overnight for all this stuff to get to this place. It's just happened over time and time. So I think at the end of the day, we know the most important thing is a heart change. And that's one thing, and like I said, to me, that's one of the things that I just feel is so different about this time. Now, I believe time will tell how different this really was. Because, you know, if I'm honest, if I'm looking historically at a lot of the tragedies that has happened, typically I've only seen black people out there. There's been protests that I've seen where there's more white people out there than black people. And I've never seen that before. And so I think a lot of times right now, that's why I just feel like this time it seems to be different. Now, we hope they don't pull the carpet out from above you. But we hope that it is a consistent and is a mindset as opposed to, hey, they understand and they really realize. And not just in the world, but in the church well, because, you know, there's racism in the church as well. So, you know, that all parties realize, you know, some things you've heard and some things you've seen, it appears like it's a change or something is happening. Like there are some start to really acknowledge it and to see it. And we just hope that it lingers and it stays. You know,
We don't want pity either.
Right.
I've seen I got a lot of that is getting kind of clouded in. I've seen Black Lives Matter donuts and workouts. And
Right.
It's like, come on, man. We don't Cupid shuffles with the politicians. It's like, and the cops. It's like, okay, that's
Right. So and we don't want pity because just think about this. Back when Martin Luther King, when you just think about the terminology, when they just said they were fighting for civil rights. We just want you to be civil.
That's right.
We just be civil to us. Don't hold us. Don't put your dog on. Just be civil. Now we want it equal too. Can we start at civil? You see what I'm saying? And we want some equal. So there's a progression, and hopefully that progression is being made.
I was watching a documentary the other night here on TV about George Wallace, the governor of Alabama.
Okay. I've heard of it.
Governor of Alabama. And he stood on the steps of the school and he said, never will a black person come into the school, a black kid will come into the school. He said, segregation forever. Now, before he died, his daughter said he had to change her heart. Matter of fact, for his last few years of life, he had to have a black woman take care of him because he couldn't take care of himself. And he told his daughter, he said, everything I thought about or everything I talked about blacks, I don't feel that way. I was wrong. But he had ended his life now. How many people he didn't hurt? How many people he didn't get? But he ended his life. But he said, what I thought about black people, what I felt about black people was wrong.
And that's what, that's what we're praying for.
Yeah.
And we're believing for.
We're trying to get to heaven.
Right. We're trying to get to heaven. Whatever it takes. Listen, y'all. We've had a lot of conversations. There's much more we could really dive into. So some people really want to dive into. But I just want to, the last thing I just want to ask for, is anybody have any thoughts on what you think are some solutions as a people, as a country, or policies, or what do y'all think are some solutions to help in this process for equality?
First of all, get rid of that president and the head of the Senate. Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump got to go.
Okay. Short and sweet. Short and sweet. Go ahead.
I'll say, I think first and foremost, white people need to be educated, but I think we can do a better job of educating ourselves too on our history and all of that type of stuff. And just people, parents, informing like children, just the different ways that we get attacked through, education, the lack of resources, healthcare, all of the, just the systematic injustice. If we can all just be aware of that, like that is a start to where everybody knows, okay, they're going to purposely try to thumb me down because I'm black, or these are just kind of little sneaky ways, like, that they'll try to attack us. Self-focus, like self-peace, and yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, just gotta keep God first, because we can do all that. We can educate ourselves. We can secretly boycott. We can start all the black-owned businesses. We can do all of that stuff. But if people don't have a change of heart, it's always going to be some conflict when it comes to the issues we're talking about now.
Thank you, Muskia. That was good. It's a change of heart. Anyone else? Solutions? Thoughts?
I think we need to get back to where we're not so much. I think the trades. We need to do some trades too. Some trade people. We need some trade men. We need businessmen. We need everybody in every industry, so to speak. Therefore, when we got there, I think okay. Where do we go? We need plumbing. We got a black plumber.
Right.
Where do we go when we need somebody who's financial? We got a black financial guy.
Right.
And not to exclude anybody that may not be black, but I think when we get to that point where we do have some support, some capital gain, so to speak, I think that's one solution.
Okay.
And for those that are out there, we need to also reach these young men. And I think Ladero touched it a little bit. We need to talk to them. We need to understand where they're coming from. See where they want to go. Put some other thoughts in their head. Kind of, what I'm saying? Try to just talk to them and say, look, we're here for you if you need something. And that's one thing. And we also need to learn from these the older ones, the ones that came before us. They said they call it they're old because they're wise and young because they're strong.
Mm-hmm.
We need that bridge. We need because we need to know what happened back in the civil rights, what's happening now as far as Black Lives Matter. But I think we need all that.
All right.
A solution that's going to handle all this, we need justice.
Right.
That's the solution. We need the right judges. When like how he killed the guy, it's plain and dead. He should go to jail. The same way that if you say something about a lesbian, you get fired. You say something, you kill a dog, they was on Michael Vick. When you do something to us, the same action should happen. It should be some type of consequence to doing something to us. And that's the solution. If you do something to us, you got to pay the penalty. That's the only solution.
All right. Good stuff. Other thing I would say, we encourage everyone to vote. That's right. Encourage everyone to vote. And I know a lot of times you may take voting lightly, and people have fought for our right to vote. So then make sure we're doing our research on the candidates and actually get out there and vote and make a difference. Do not take your vote lightly. Get out there and vote and make a difference. And at the end of the day, we know it's going to take the power of Jesus Christ. We know it's going to take a heart change. Unless God built the house, those that build it labor in vain. So we know that God has to enter into our lives, enter into the police department, into our senators, into our congressmen, enter into us. We know because the relationship with Jesus is really what's going to make the difference. We don't believe you can be saved and be a racist. But you just can't be saved and be in love with Jesus Christ and be a racist, and whether you're black or white. You can't be saved and be a racist. Amen. So we believe that something good is happening, something good has happened amongst us on tonight. It is our prayer that you have enjoyed this conversation, this dialogue amongst black men. So we thank you for being attentive. We thank God again for Calvin Royal sharing. We thank God for Sean Holland sharing. We thank God for Willie Barthel and the Thorough Petway for sharing with us on tonight. So we pray you receive. We know you received something. Oh, we hope you're not too mad at us, but we hope you received something and it has been a blessing to you. So we want you to look forward to what's coming up. It's our prayer that the women are going to come forth and they're going to be able to share some information with you too from their perspective. There's a feeling in the air that God is everywhere and His resurrection power is moving in this hour that Jesus will be glorified. We're just going to close in prayer tonight again. Thank you, brothers, and thank you, everyone, for being in attendance on tonight. God, we thank you for everything that has been done. We thank you for every word that has been spoken. Lord, we pray, Lord God, that this has been a benefit, that has been educational, that has been informational, that has been inspirational, Lord God, to those that have listened on tonight. Lord God, we ask you, Lord God, to continue to move in our city, our nation, our land, move in all the politicians, oh God. You have your way, Lord God. We submit our lives and our will to you. For we know at the end of the day, it's all about a relationship with you. So it is to you we give the glory. It is to you we give the honor. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you.
Come on, everybody, get your feet happy. Let's go. Come on. Come on, catch it, Jehovah. Jehovah, I trust. I trust in you. In you. Oh Lord, say it. Oh Lord, Jehovah, you. I trust. I trust in you. I believe. Say it. Everybody, say it. I believe you. I trust. I trust. Come on. Say it. I trust. Say it. In you. I believe. Say it. I believe. You are the God of miracles. You are the God of miracles. You are the God of wonders. You are the God of wonders. You are the God of powerful. You are the God of power. I believe. Say it. I believe. I believe. Say it. Say it. Say it. I believe. I believe. Now everybody get radical for 30 seconds. Come on, dance on the devil's head. Come on, come on. Come on. Y'all ain't radical enough over here. Balcony, I can't feel ya. Move your feet. Everybody, let's go. I see you back there. Balcony, y'all gotta come on. So long, bye-bye. So long, bye-bye. Come on, y'all, help me say it. Goodbye to my pain and my sorrow. So long, bye-bye. Y'all catch it, everybody. Come on, say it. So long, bye-bye. So long, bye-bye. So long, bye-bye. Goodbye to my pain and my sorrow. Goodbye to my pain and my sorrow. So long, bye-bye. Let's go. So long, bye-bye. Hey, so long, bye-bye. Yeah, so long, bye-bye. Hey, so long, bye-bye. Yeah, so long, bye-bye. Yeah, so long, bye-bye. Say it, so long, bye-bye. Yeah, so long, bye-bye. Goodbye to my sorrow, bye-bye. Hey, goodbye to my pain, y'all, bye-bye. Goodbye to my trouble, bye-bye. Goodbye